Well, we're back in front of the little Stiga Park 2000. It's actually a Canadiana right there. Canadiana, Noma. I think bought these from Stiga and branded them with their own name. They didn't change the Park 2000 name because that's 2000E. E means two-wheel drive. So I just finished patching this thing up. I mean, the deck is rusted out. This is the second deck. I built this one in 93 or 94, 1993, 1994. And I just noticed this whole hub here was broken loose from hitting stuff over the years. And a combination of rusted out and broken. So I patched it up. There's a crack right around this whole edge. You can still see a hole right through there. And then I put some sheet metal on here a couple of weeks ago. And the screws are all vibrating out. So I started welding them. And then I noticed this thing here had completely worn right through there. Like a hacksaw blade. And so last night before I went in, at the end of the day, I welded this. And then I used a, that's a metric size. So I used a little die grinder with a burr, carbide burr, and ground it out. And then I made this little piece here on the lathe. This was a scrap piece that I had laying around. It was almost the right size. And so my plan is to cut whatever the remainder of this piece off. There's no way to fix that without doing something like this, unless you change that whole pipe, because if you weld on this side, this piece goes right up against it, which won't fit on there right now because it's kind of deformed a little bit, but it's supposed to go up there right against that, and then it's supposed to look like this end down here. This one's not worn out. I don't understand why one is and the other one isn't, but in there you can still see, if I can get the right angle here, yeah, got a little bit of wear, but not much really to speak of, considering it's, you know, 40 or 45 years old, this little tractor. So we're just trying to get the summer out of it, and I think what I'm going to do is either over the winter or next spring or something, I'll build a new mower deck for this. I haven't even finished the one for the ransom yet, so I'm going to get a one of these cut-off wheels and cut this right off flush, drill a hole in here, and then plug weld this piece in. That's why I'm using a solid piece, so I can weld on that side down here somewhere, and then that'll be ready to go cut grass again. So this thing started getting loose in there, and it was wobbling around, vibrating like crazy, and the belt was jumping off. So now we'll get another summer out of it, and eventually I won't be able to fix this anymore eventually. It's so old, and it's the motor runs great, and you know, it does not a nice job cutting grass. I have to admit that it's just about as close to as pushing a push mower as you can get, and that does the nicest job. So doesn't scalp anything. The rollers are wearing out. This is the next thing I'm gonna have to do something about, is some of these are cracked and pieces of plastic are missing. I put these spacers in here in 2018, I think I did that. I just took a piece of plastic conduit, electrical conduit, and shoved it in there because they just had so much wear on them. And then I put a new axle in there, a new piece of 5/8, I think it is, because it had worn so badly that I couldn't reuse the old one. So. And what else did I do? Oh, a bunch of other little things, but see, this is what's happening here. There's this sheet metal, it was blowing grass up on the operator, which is my wife, and she wasn't happy, so gotta keep her happy. And another hole blew out right here, so it's really due for a new. I repaired that little square piece I put in there in 2018, the year I fixed the front axle, a bunch of things on it. So Okay, let's get the grinder. I'm gonna cut this right off. Shove my little piece in there. And plug weld it. Alright. Holes drilled. Fits right in. Just gonna give it a little push when I weld it. And you just gotta have enough weld on there to stop it from falling out. It's not really doing anything else, that weld, so here we go. Can't see a thing. Just mask. There you go. Perfect. That should fix it. And this thing here, this little piece slips on there. Put our bolts back in, and that's it. So I think I'll grind that down flat. I might just give it a little shot of black paint, just to keep it from rusting. Yeah, the whole thing needs to be repainted. This is the original black paint from when the tractor was new. And see, it's coming off, peeling off everywhere. This has been repainted at least twice now. Yeah, so there's what I cut off. So you gotta admit that little tubing did its job for all those years. These things are not meant to last 45 years, but this one did. So let's get that bolted up. Alright, it's all back together. So I noticed the spacing wasn't right anymore. It was really, really tight back here because it had worn, and this whole thing had slid back maybe probably over half an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch. So it was a huge gap up here, and it was almost touching back here. As a matter of fact, this piece of sheet metal I put on was hitting here. See? You can see the dent. So, and now that that's up where it's supposed to be, it's a little more centered. So I just have a couple more bolts to tighten. I didn't tighten this one. I didn't tighten this one yet. I just kind of hand turned it on there. This one I lost a couple of years ago. It vibrated out, and yeah, never found it. So you have to make your own. There's like a little piece of tubing on there to space it. It's got to be able to pivot there so it's not tight. So get the 13 mil and we'll tighten that up. That's 13, yep. And that's it. And then we're gonna go cut some grass. Okay, it's nighttime. So I just finished. I cut a little bit of grass with this, and the pin fell out. The little piece I put in there fell right out. So that well didn't hold, obviously. And then I just finished watching the video. I said, maybe I should watch the video and see if I can see it coming out. Guess what? Fell out right where that sand was. So we're gonna attempt to weld it. The well didn't hold, obviously. So I think I'll grind that well down, and we'll re-drill it, and we'll put a rolled pin or something, or drill a bigger hole and make sure we get a good weld on that tomorrow in the daylight. But I looked at the video, and it was right here where I drove across the sand, the only sandy area where I first started cutting. It fell out within the first, I don't know, 100 feet, 150 feet, and it was a mark. I guess the tire drove over it, so it was embedded right in the sand. So it's pretty great that I found it. There it is. Alright, so this little tractor lives for another day. It's just temporarily fixed. I put a couple of new bearings in it. One of the bearings blew out this spring, and it's due for a new mower deck. So what I did with this is I just re-drilled that hole with a 1/4 inch bit, hammered a piece of 1/4 inch in there, which is, I think, is broken free here, and then I welded it. So I'm gonna have to re-weld that again, looks like. But this pin is not moving anymore. The height adjustment works. That's what I like the most about this mower deck, is one lever here and you got 5 settings. Simple as that. You got your lowest setting, 1, and the highest, 5, and I can actually reach it from the seat there, so if you really stretch. So stay tuned. You might see a new mower deck being built for this thing, maybe in the fall or over the winter, probably next spring. But it's not hard to do. It's pretty simple. One flat sheet, some metal around the edges, and slap some yellow paint on. So yeah, the Stiga Park lives for another day. Thanks for watching.